live and everything. And it's live in YouTube today. I appreciate you following and joining me for all of these things that I'm doing because, since our conversations, things are moving forward at a rapid speed. So I am just going with the flow. But I am not going to be going live on Facebook. I'll have it on YouTube. I'll promote it on Facebook, but
sounds good.
So I'll save live for the quickies, and I'll start doing that too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there we are. We are streaming live there. Perfect. Okay. Gotta love these platforms.
Sure.
Okie dokie.
I'm going to make sure to go and subscribe to your YouTube channel as well.
Okay, great. Okay, it's 11:01. I'll get started at about 11:03 or so. Give people a couple minutes to find the link and join. And let me also tell everyone that we are live, and then I'll get started. So just 2 minutes. Welcome. Thank you for joining.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Oh, great. We're just giving a couple people a few minutes to join. It's a little different this time because I'm actually only hosting here on Zoom and not doing a live Facebook. So a couple people may stream in later, but welcome, and I'll get started in just 1 more minute.
Okay.
Okay. Well, again, thank you guys for joining. My name is Rhonda Hemphill, and I'm so glad to have you here. I have been on a whirlwind of information and that I want to share with everyone, and this is just the beginning of some of the works that I'll have available for our community of entrepreneurial-minded women, because that is who I've created this particular program for. If you know me, again, thank you for supporting. And if you're new, I just want to welcome you, and I want you to know exactly who I am and what it is that I do. My name is Rhonda. I'm a spiritual health coach, and along with that spiritual health coaching comes a variety of things, because as we know, everything happens first in the spiritual realm before things happen here in the mundane world. So everything that we see here in this world, from the table, the chair that you're sitting on, to the table that you eat dinner from, it's first someone's thought. And thought is, again, supernatural. It does not have legs. It's not here in reality. But from that stage, after one thing and another, a blueprint a worker, some wood, some nails. We then have the chair that we're able to sit in. So your money operates the same way. And that's what I'm going to share here today. More practical things, but always stand in that thought process that what I feel, what I think is what I am manifesting. And so as we move through this, you'll hear me touch base a little bit on some of that, but most of what we're going to talk about today is practical. And again, specifically for the entrepreneurial woman is who I am looking to support, even if you're not entrepreneurial. If you just feel like you need assistance with your finances and you want to understand how to make your money grow or just how money works in general, this is the place for you. So we're going to get started. Again, thanks for joining. After this program, you will see how you can get out of debt. Some of you may be a little further ahead in the game, and maybe you have eliminated your debt. Well, now we can look at how to build savings. And when you're doing that, how to build savings out of what you already have. So I'm not looking to tell you that you can't use your money. We look at what you're already doing and see if there's a better way to do that. Because the reality is, none of us were taught this stuff in school. It's the last thing that they're thinking about teaching us. We need to know about geology and how the rocks are formed and how geometry, how isosceles triangle has, a short angle versus a long angle, and all of those things. But how do we use them every day? We may not, unless we're an architect or unless we're studying sacred geometry. Those things don't even come into play with what is important for us. So I really want to help you guys get on the path to financial independence by giving you the information that is not readily available, but is out here. As we know, we live in the technology age. So anything that you want to know about is at your fingertips. And again, I want to bring this to you in a great format so that you can digest it. So the first thing you want to do is be able to take control of the monies that you have coming in. And people's biggest mistakes are that they kind of just live from check to check. You kind of just take what you have and kind of just roll with it. But actually having financial security is not using your finances in a happenstance way. It's not even being stressed about it and having the ability to be able to bring in more income just to fill that bucket up that you are already pulling out of. The secret really to financial security is controlling the things that you can control. We can't control how much sometimes that we bring in. We can't control what those bills are. However, we can control quite a few things, and I'll talk about those as well. I need a moderator because I have individuals that are on Facebook asking me how to get on, and it's just click the link. But
Hey, Rhonda, if you would like, I'll go over. Are they like messaging you or are they on the
they're
event?
on the event, I believe.
Okay, I'll go and look at that because I can do a little bit of that. No problem.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thanks so much, Adrienne. But I believe that's where they are. The notifications came up, but I don't see them. It's not a text message, so it has to be in the group.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. So yeah, we have to learn how to take control. And again, that's by taking control of the things that we actually can. So what can we control? I have this lovely list here to help you see what you can control. And being able to take control, you have to, first of all, put yourself first. If you follow me on Facebook, you know that that's what I talk about every single day. Self-love and self-care. And it's not about going to get your nails done. Nope.
Right.
That's not self-love and self-care. That is called domestication. That's called grooming. It's not self-care, it's grooming, because that's something that we need to do on a daily basis. When you begin to pay yourself first and not your bills and recognize that you're more important than these creditors that are asking for your money, that's loving yourself and that's putting yourself first. And that's what self-care is and self-love. So if you please, I hope you have a notebook and are taking notes during this because there's some gems that I'm going to drop here today. So definitely pay yourself first. What that looks like is, first of all, we got to take control of the things we can. Again, if you follow me, you hear me say this too, serenity. How do you stand in serenity? That prayer is so powerful, and we just don't recognize if we live our lives by that prayer, basically everything will be serene. And how does it go? Um, Lord, please help me to see what I can change and change the things that I can, and have the knowledge to know when I can't change something, and then just to leave it be. Um, so I know that I have so much money coming in, and I know that everybody needs to get paid. So the first thing I need to do to be serene and feel good about what I'm doing is pay myself, because I've worked hard for this money. And if I've worked hard for this money, why don't I get to reap the benefits of it? Why does DTE get to reap the benefits of my hard work? So that's the first thing. The second thing is adjust your priorities, because if you're going to pay yourself first, you have to have the mindset that DTE is not more important than you, that you're not in a space of lack, so that your lights are not going to get turned off if you don't pay them first. They do not have ownership or lordship over you just because they're in control of a tool that you use, because lights are just tools. That's a tool. I'm not going to pay for my hammer to be taken care of before I am. Again, that's that mindset of lack versus abundance. So if I have an abundant mindset, I know that I have enough to pay myself first, and I'm going to prioritize. DTE is going to be at the top of that list, because lights are important. Just ask people in Texas right now who don't have any power. Whew. Yeah, so they're important. So just put yourself before the light bill. Let's think about some of the other bills we have. Some of us have car notes. Some of us have children that we have to take care of. Of course, we got to eat. So adjust your priorities and decide how much are you going to pay for each thing. And that's something that we do, and I'll talk about this later in our financial needs analysis. So I sit down with people and actually help you to do this. So you're not doing this by yourself if you work with me. This is something that we do together, and we have those conversations about what's important. How often do you go out to eat? Is that important to you? Because for me, prior to the pandemic, I was eating out almost every day, because I have clients and I'm always doing a lunch here or there, sometimes 2 or 3 lunches a day. So eating out for me was important and had a high priority, because that's a part of my business. So again, everybody's going to be different. Some people don't want to eat out at all because they're living a lifestyle of clean eating, and you don't always know what someone's putting in your food. So don't eat out. Anyhow, adjust your lifestyle based on what those priorities are. Because again, in 2021, I'm not eating out because we've all had to change our thinking about how we deal with each other on a day-to-day basis. And that's why we're on here virtually versus being at an event somewhere and me standing in front of you and being able to hug you when you came in. I miss all that. So definitely
Feel the hugs. We feel the hug. I feel the hugs. So
you feel the hug. You felt it. Okay, good. So we definitely have to adjust our lifestyle to whatever our thought patterns now are, since we've made those changes. Number 5 is key, but not necessary for the work that we do here. Once we understand how our money works, it's great to have multiple income streams, 100%. And I've had the last wealth workshop I did, that's actually what we talked about, is how to have additional income streams, because you never know when that main income is going to change. Even if you own a business and your business is going well, you just don't know how society is going to change. Think about all the restaurant owners who were small mom and pop shops that now have closed their doors because of the pandemic. But if they had additional income coming in, they could maybe shift things. And additional income doesn't necessarily have to be another job. There are a multitude ways to be able to earn money. The next thing is avoid the credit trap. I have a few credit cards. A few years ago, I had cut them all up, started all over, didn't have a car note, my house was paid for, and had zero debt. So when I wanted to go and buy something, when I needed credit, guess what? I had no credit, and they said no. So credit's important because sometimes we need loans. If you're a business owner, you know we need business loans to be able to facilitate some of those bigger ideas that we have for our business. So credit is important. However, don't be trapped by it. And so we talk about that as to how to manage your credit expenses and how to pay them off while building credit and or maintaining your credit, because it's important that those things are there so that even if you ever do need a loan, they can look and see, what history you have, because it's like a report card of your ability to pay things back. And so you want it to be able to say the right things, but you don't want to be caught up in it so that, right now is a tax season. And so many of us women think that tax money is just to pay credit cards off from Christmas. Nope. If we have those priorities adjusted, we also have a savings account. We'll talk about that in a little bit, just for Christmas, so that you are not looking to spend all of your money during these holidays, birthdays, anniversaries. You have an account for that, so that it doesn't take you into that credit trap, and it doesn't suck all of your moving money either. Last but not least, set goals and actually have a plan. And again, that's what we do with the financial needs analysis. It's actually a roadmap to whatever you're trying to do. Leave a legacy, start a business, whatever your goals are. I can create a business map, financial map for you to get there. So here are some of the things that we cannot control, but what we can control. Definitely can't control the future of Social Security. We don't even look at that as a source of income for when you get older. I think right now they're looking at like $300 to $500 for the average person that makes $60,000 a year. So what is that $300 to $500 going to do? Nothing. You can't control what happens with your job. If you're still working for an actual employer, they can lay you off at any time. We can't control the tax brackets and what this wonderful government of ours does and says we have to do as far as taxes are concerned. I wish we could, because I stand, and I will say this loudly from the mountaintops, I believe taxes are important. However, I don't think that the land should be taxed. And once you own your home, you should own your home. It shouldn't ever have to be an issue, but that's a whole nother story. Inflation, we have nothing to do with how the cost of living goes up every year. And we also don't have any control over the risks of having only one investment. So again, I support having multiple streams. That also can include multiple types of investments too. We'll talk about that too. What we can control is how we save, how much we save, what other sources of income that we bring in. There are lots of ways to reduce your taxes once you're a business owner. So if you're just working for an employer and you do not have any type of business that you're running, but you got some ideas, we can talk about how to make that work for you. Because as a business owner, this is a capitalistic society. As a business owner, you have great tax breaks that an employee cannot have or doesn't have. And so that cycle of them with the tax returns and them paying, that doesn't happen when you're a business owner. You actually get a nice return back, because a lot of times our expenses are huge and you're rewarded for that. So we'll talk about that later. We can maximize our savings, we can save more, and we can definitely diversify our investments. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the things that I've said already. The problem here with this whole pay yourself idea is that a lot of people just, like I said, live check to check. And after they're done paying their bills, how much do they have left over? Yeah, not a lot, right? Yeah. So that's why that pay yourself concept is so important, because if you're going to pay yourself last, USOL, that's not what we're trying to do. And that's why we get in that cycle. It's important that we, before we pay anybody else, find out how much you think you should have. Is it $100 every paycheck? Or if you're a business owner, is it 10% of what my earnings are for the month? What do you need? What are your goals? What are your savings goals? And that too will come into play as to how much you want to pay yourself. Again, no details in this period while we're sitting here going through the presentation, but if you wanted to sit down one-on-one, this is the single most important concept so that all of this, everything else that I talk about will work. Don't pay yourself first, the rest doesn't even matter. So with the concept of it's not what you earn, it's what you keep, that is very important. And so before I go into all these calculations with you guys, I just want to give you this scenario. I got two people. Both of them make $100,000 a year. One of them lives from check to check. They have a nice home in Bloomfield. They drive a BMW. Their lifestyle is, when you look at them, they got it going on. They're awesome. The other person, and I'm going to say they live in Detroit, they make $100,000 as well. However, they also drive a BMW. It's a late model BMW, but they pay themselves first. And so with both of these two people making $100,000, the one in Bloomfield only saves, let's say, $10,000 a year. While the person in Detroit, because their cost of living is less, is able to spend $70,000, but keep $30,000 per year. At the end of 10 years, who has the most wealth? The person who saves $30,000 a year. And so it doesn't really matter how much you bring in. It's what you save. It's what you keep. It's what you do with what you have. And you can take that $100,000 example, and you can have two people that both make $40,000 a year. And if one of them is saving and the other one just living check to check, and they're not paying themselves first, guess who's going to be in what position? So how do we calculate that? You just take the average annual income. And again, 100,000 is a nice, easy number. And if you want to get your calculator out on your phone and even do this for your own income, again, I'm just going to put in 100,000 just to keep it nice and easy. So someone makes 100,000 a year, and that's A. And we're going to say they're going to work for 10 years. So let's multiply that by 10. That's $1 million after 10 years. Whew. So we all can be millionaires. Remember that too. So I have $1 million. And what did I save out of those 10 years? I'm going to take that individual that saved $30,000 a year. So that's 30,000 times 10. So that's $300,000 that they've saved. And let's divide that by how much they made. So they made $1 million. So that 300,000 divided by $1 million equals 33%. So 30% of their income they're saving, which is actually really good. You can do that for yourself, just looking at how much you have saved over the years. And for most people, they're pretty disappointed when they see that number. How can we do better though? By paying ourselves first. Well, first of all, we have to create a few banking accounts. The first one is your emergency fund. How many people on the call actually have an emergency fund? Where you have a lump sum of money that you never touch, but if your furnace goes out, you can go to it and make sure that that's taken care of without stress.
I do. You changed my name. I'm sorry. I got my name as Mana Sisters.
Oh, it's fine. I know who Mana Sisters are.
Yeah, I know, but I just want everybody else to know. Yeah, we definitely do. And we just used our emergency fund. And let me tell you something, from a relationship perspective, this has saved, this has so many more implications than just the money, because We had like a $699 repair on the car that needed to happen. We
Mhm.
own the car outright. I mean, it's an ugly old beater, but I don't really care. Like that doesn't matter to me. But it runs typically, but it had an issue, and we were able to get it repaired and not stress out about where we were going to have to get the money from. And the thing is, we have our emergency fund on an auto save. So it's our emergency fund. The base of it is emergency. Like, we don't let it fall below a certain amount,
Mhm.
except in this case because we had to spend that amount. But we know that in 5 weeks it'll be back up to the level,
There you go.
So yeah, so we definitely have
Well, thank you for that testimonial because I heard what you were about to say, and I want to tap into that. 80% of divorces are because of finances. Because if you're in a relationship and that happens, you both are looking at each other like, what? How much you got on? How much you got on it? Like, we need. Where we gonna get this money from? Is it under here? What we gonna do? And that stress alone makes you look at your partner differently, especially if you're a woman, because we can't get away from these gender roles that our society has given us. We want to be protected and supported by our mates. And if we're living check to check, he doesn't have any more money than you do. And it's like, where are we going to get it from? And that whole stress can be devastating for the family, from something as simple as like what Adrian shared with us, as just the car going down, not to mention how you're going to get to work. How many days is that car going to be down? How far is it? What do I need to do? Do I got to get on public transportation? Am I lifting? Do we have money to be able to do both? That whole scenario can take your whole relationship, can take your whole life in a whole different direction. So again, paying yourself first, which is what Adrian shared with us. They actually have an automated system, so that money goes in probably out of their checks automatically. They don't even think about it, and that is what we actually ask when you are paying yourself first. You do something like that, but instead of just one account, we actually want 3. The second account is your short-term savings account. This is maybe for your long-term goals. It can be a trip, it can be Christmas, it can be birthdays, it's whatever that we need to do during the year to enjoy ourselves, to live your best life. I'm going to Cancun. Why? Because I have a short-term savings account that's just for me to travel. So my girlfriend says, hey, you want to go to Cancun? And maybe things will be better by September. I'm going to say, yes, I got it. Let's go. But again, this comes from paying myself first. And then the third account you're going to have is some type of long-term savings account or an investment account. This money actually doubles much faster than these other 2 accounts. Typically, your emergency fund is either in a normal banking savings where you get, 0.001 rate of return of interest on that. So nothing, a fraction of a penny per dollar. No. And then the short-term savings, you can have that in a CD or a money market account. And that's something that I can help you guys with. And your money actually grows. It's not a huge rate of return in a short-term savings. It's usually around 3%. 3% is good. 30, 40 years ago, the banks used to offer that. They don't anymore. But in a short-term savings account, you actually can get that type of rate of return. And then your long-term savings, of course, is going to be an investment. That's money that you're not going to touch because it needs time to mature. And it usually grows in the accounts that I work with, anywhere from 6 to 25% rate of return. So that's really good. And we'll talk about those later. But the important thing is you have the potential for all those rate of returns, but you got to use time and consistency. So if you decide one week, I'm going to pay myself first, and I'm not going to do it again until summertime, it's not going to work for you. You have to be consistent with what you choose to do. Someone once said, and how does this go? That the only two things that life gives you are opportunity and time. Time combined with these other important elements, rate of return and consistency, is the key for achieving financial security. So what does that look like? Most of the women that I work with are 35 to 65. So they've lived a little bit of life and have made some mistakes and come to me wanting to really know what they need to do. And most of the time, their savings are minimal, or their savings aren't giving them the rate of return that they're looking for. And I always say it pays to start investing early. How great would it be that when children have birthdays, instead of bringing them a bike, candy, throwing the big stupid birthday party, why don't we take that money and actually put it into an investment account? Why don't we start doing that? What about business owners? I've been seeing this posted about us having baby showers for babies, but we should have business showers for businesses. What if when you started your business, a friend gave you $500 investment? And even if it just sat there, what would that rate of return look like? Well, looking at this screen, we're talking about time and how important it is for us to start investing as soon as possible. At birth would be great. But if we're not, think about our children, maybe even start to create investment accounts for them. And these investment portfolio companies are so great. Franklin Templeton and who's the other one? There's another one that actually have links that you can actually post on Facebook and say, this is my kid's birthday, invest into their 529 account. And all you do is click the link and pay. It's pretty awesome. But looking at the screen, the blue is someone who just took $1,000, put it in an account for a kid and didn't add anything else. It just sat there until this kid's retirement age. And their rate of return is $406,000. Wow. I wish somebody would have did that for me. But no, that's all right. What about our teenagers? What about a gift of $1,000 when they graduate from high school? By the time they retire, that $1,000 investment's almost $100,000. And if you're like me and you're 40 years old and you just start having the ideas and thoughts that, hey, I only got 20 years left to work. Let me start investing now. If you only put $1,000 in and never add anything to it, you'd have $11,000 by the time you retire. So look at the difference in time there. The most amazing thing is if you start at birth, I mean, that's huge. And it's very significant if you wait until just 16 years later. So only 16 years off of that 67 only gives you a quarter of what we would have if we had those previous years. So it's really interesting how combining the combination of interest, and as it grows, it really works for our advantage to start early. So more of the same. If your goal is to save $500,000 by the time you retire, time is everything. If you're 25 and your goal is to save $500,000, all you got to do is save $89 a month. That's an easy fix. So 25 years old, I'm gonna put $89 a month into this investment account. It's gonna give me a rate of return around 9%, sometimes higher, sometimes lower. And I'll have that $500,000. But if I'm 35, instead of $89, now it's $224 that I gotta save every month. It's almost twice as much as if I would have just 10 years earlier started. If you're 45, like me, you got a whole car note. Whole car notes. $600 a month that I got to put up every month if I want to have $500,000 by the time I retire. And I had a client that called me just a couple of days ago that was 50 and said he had zero saved and he needed desperately to start an account because he's almost near retirement age and feels like he's going to have to work the rest of his life. And according to this, he would have to, because you need almost $2,000 a month to put away if you only got 10 years to save. So the cost of waiting is high. The sooner we start, the better. And if you're on this call, or if you're watching this later after it's no longer live, and you are looking at how much you have saved and what you need to do, please do not hesitate to reach out, because time is of the essence. More of the same here, guys. The sooner you begin to save, the greater the potential growth. And I think you guys get the idea of that. Excuse me. In this example, though, it shows you how much you're losing. So it doesn't say how much you lost. It says what the cost was to wait. And so beginning at 25, and you're saving $100 a month at 9%, you get your 500,000 and a little more. You wait till 30, at $100 a month, if that's all you have, you make it a 350. That's not bad to retire with. But you lost 200,000 just because you waited a few more years. Don't wait till you're 40. Ooh-wee, you lost almost 500,000. You're only going to be able to save 130,000. So that's important to know, because sometimes we don't make enough to be able to spend the highest amount into an investment account. Maybe all we have is $100 a month. That's okay. That's when those other multiple income streams come into play. And we'll talk about that in a little while. The power of compound interest. This is the magic of the market. This is what is not taught. The rich know, and they've been playing with the market forever. As soon as we get involved, I'm sure you guys heard about GameStop and all the rest of that.
Yeah.
Things change when the average person, have a good day, when the average person gets involved. So I won't talk anymore about that. We'll leave that.
We got you. We got you.
So bringing this truth to the people, the power of compound interest is everything. So again, $100 a month. That's all we have. We're going to put it away. We're going to tuck it away. And we're going to get that 9% rate of return. It's going to total to almost $500,000 with only 40 years. Only 40 years. So let's say you only have $20 to put away. And you never add anything to it. I'm just going to put, I'm sorry, you do. Every month, you only have $20 to put away. If you do it for 10 years, it's going to compound into $4,000. If you do it for 30 years, it's going to compound to $36,000. If you're able to do it for 40 years, you got 100 grand. Now, looking at the other column, you do have the ability to pay that $100 a month. 10 years, it's almost 20 grand. 20 years, it's 67. But look at the compounding. If you can do it for 40 years, you got your 500, you're almost 500,000. So there is no wrong way, whether you're strapped and you can only pay yourself $20 a month in your investment account, that's okay. Because you're still gonna have $100,000 at the end of 40 years. If you got 100 grand, $100, you can really make some money and let that money grow to almost 500,000. So this is what I teach when we sit down and look at what you can contribute. We look at what your goals are and how much you really need and what you're trying to do. And we put you into a slot of this, because I work with Primerica, for those of you who don't know. And sometimes they have a little bit of a rep because of the employee structure. You're an independent contractor, meaning you're an entrepreneur. However, whoever brought you in has the ability to what we call override or have a little piece of what you make. That has nothing to do with the fantastic programs that we have and the fact that we're connected to all the largest investment companies across the country. And we are the only company that allows you to get started with $20 a month for an investment. Because if you go to AIG directly, a lot of times they won't even allow you to come in unless you got 200 grand. They don't play with little money. However, we are able to take you into the game with $20. And that says everything about a company that's has opened the door to financial security and freedom for the average American. No other company is doing that. Kudos to Primerica, my broker, and giving you the ability to make $500,000 by just $100 investment a month. How many of you know the rule of 72? This is how interest is created. This is how your money grows. This is how you can take that $100 and end up with $500,000. This is another thing that they don't teach us. So, based on this rule, depending on what type of investment account your money is put into, and I'm going to say this for those of you who have 401ks at work, and you're saying, oh, I'm good because I got a 401k at work. I don't need anything. Okay. Your 401k might get you 3%. Might. It's 2 to 3% for most of these companies because your employer is taking a little piece of that too. That's why they're so happy to match. People don't think about that either. Nonetheless, let's look at 3% versus 6% versus 12%. So in the pink column, you have 10 grand. And you're going to put it into an investment account. This is another example of compound interest. However, you're not adding any money to it every month. You won the lottery, let's say. We hit for 777. Yay, we got 10 grand. Put it into this investment account. It only gets 3%. So it sits in this account for 24 years. It takes 24 years for it to double to 20,000. Wow, that's a long time. That same 10,000, if I put it into an investment account that gives me 6% interest or rate of return or growth, I got 20,000 in just 12 years. And in 24 years, I got 40 grand. In 48 years, if I'm young enough, and I have 48 years, I have 160,000 just from that one-time investment as interest grows. But 12%, hey, that's where the money at, okay? Take that 10,000 and in 6 years, it's double. 6 years goes by so fast. Y'all know how it is. Our kids grown and all the rest of that goes so fast, but it's doubled in 6 years. And every 6 years at 12%, that money's gonna double. So let's just look at 30 years. In 30 years, I got 320. In 42 years, I got 1.2 million. And in 48 years, I got $2.5 million. Okay, so if I'm 20 years old and I hit the lottery and I put this money up and I wait 48 years, I'm good. I'm a millionaire. I don't have to work for the rest of my life after this. So again, the investment tool that you use is everything. So some advisors will put you into a program that is being ran, and whatever the payback is. Let's say I go to Fidelity, and Fidelity has a new thing from AIG, and AIG is giving them all kickbacks if they sell this one product. But this one product only gives us 3 to 5% rate of return. Your investment broker is going to put you in that because they get a kickback from it. The whole company is looking at this one program for this month. And again, these are things that they don't tell you, but this is how the industry is ran. No, that's not what's best. I'm going to put you in a 100-year-old program with one of these 100-year-old companies that's going to get you 12 to 25% rate of return, because that's what you need because you're 45, you don't have time. So let's put you in something that has a greater return than even this 12%. And that's how the magic happens. So yeah, just again, looking at how that works with a one-time investment of $1,000, looking at 3, 6, and 9% rate of return. And of course, the 9% is going to give you the best rate of return. This is what that $100 looks like after 40 years, paying $100 a month. And this is the difference here between 4.5% versus 9%. 9% after 40 years is going to give me $746,000. That's pretty cool. Quadrupling my money. The next thing that's important, because if we got a mountain of debts, you can't pay yourself first. There's no money there. We don't want that. I want to help you pay it off. This is what threatens our financial security. That big old boulder that we're trying to push up this mountain that we have created ourselves. Because once again, I'm a spiritual health coach. So whatever debts and issues and troubles you have with your finances, guess who is responsible for them? We don't like to think about that. You built that mountain, that boulder there. You glued all those little pebbles together and now you're carrying it around. Ooh-wee. I'm here to help you let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go.
I love it.
So debt is our most common enemy. And who doesn't have it? We all have it. I have it. I was debt free, didn't have anything, and then got into a car accident in 2017. Had to buy a car. So I almost paid off. I'll be paid off this year. But I had a goal to pay it off in 3 years. And the pandemic kind of shifted that a little bit. I wasn't able to put that extra that I used to have in it. So it's going to be paid off this year instead. But still, 3 years, I'm winning. And then I won't have any debt anymore, except my credit cards that I use, constantly paying them off and constantly using them so that I have good credit. So this is our biggest threat to our well-being. Did you know if you spend $3,000, let's say, I used to say our band, but they're dead. So we're going to say Gardner White. We go buy a whole dining room set and living room set and spend $3,000 on their credit card. It only has 18% interest rate on new purchases. And if I only make the minimum payments, it's going to take me 10 years to pay that off. Now it has 18% interest rate. So I just talked to you guys about compounding interest on your money. Think about these credit card companies, because this is when that same compounding interest works against you, because they are sitting there and you're their bank at that point, because they're getting 18%. I showed you what 12% looks like. 18% rate of return off of you buying that set that you bought. And it's going to take you 10 years to pay it off. So they end up with an additional $2,000. So they really got $5,000 from you. Okay. So this is what's eating your money. This is how compound interest that you don't know anything about is working against you. But again, I want to show you how to make it work for you. Look at the revolving debt and how it can eat away at your financial security. I'm paying $595 a month, which I feel like it's all right, but I got a $17,000 credit card. And again, at 18%, I just pay the minimums. It's going to take me 17 years to pay this stupid thing off. And that's $12,000 now that I'm paying in interest. That's almost as much as whatever I bought. I could have bought what I bought twice. So that's revolving debt. But with a fixed debt, it's still a lot. You still got to pay another $5,000 in interest. And it only took 3 years to pay it off. So I want to introduce you guys to debt stacking, also known as debt snowballing. If you guys know of this wonderful, I'm drawing a blank, of a wonderful gentleman. What is it called?
Ramsey?
Dave Ramsey. Thank you. His whole business is built upon this concept. And guess where he learned it from?
I don't know, but I do know he always says, I didn't make this up. I got it from somewhere. Where did he get it from?
He got it from Art. What is Art's last name? He got it from the founder of Primerica. And he'll never tell you who it is. But the founder of Primerica, who created this, is where Dave Ramsey got his program from. And so he's made a whole business of it, charges thousands of dollars for his program. I give you this for free. I sit down with you, go over your finances, and this is our mapping system to map your way out of debt. So this is just a basic concept. Let's look at some numbers. I'm going to say this is me. I got a Macy's card. It's got 220 on it. I got just a normal Visa, and it's got 350 on it. I told you I had to buy another car. My car loan's $500 a month. And I got another credit card just on GP because they sent me the thing in the mail and it said you can get it. So I got it. And then I got a mortgage that's $1,200 a month. So my total is $2,700 a month in bills. That's my debt. So that's not including lights and gas. And when we sit down, we'll talk about all that stuff and all that's included. But this is just the bills, just so you can get an idea of how it works. So what I do is I pay my first credit card off. That's my goal. I'm gonna pay myself first. And before I can start investing, because I have zero left over, I'm gonna pay off this credit card. I'm not gonna use it. So I take that $220 that I paid off my Macy's card off. And instead of spending it in another way, I pretend like I still have that card. And I take that $220 and I add it to my other card. And then I'm paying $573 on that card until, it's paid off. I do the same thing with my car loan. Now that I have $573 freed up, I'm going to put that extra money on top of this $551 that my car note is asking for. So I'm paying $1,000 a month for my car, even though they only need $500. So that extra $500 is going on the principal. And I keep doing that until it's paid off. I got an extra $1,000 now, y'all. Hey, most people go and spend it and develop a lifestyle with that extra $1,000 until it's no longer an extra. But I'm going to put it on my credit card and get that paid down. And after that's paid off, I'm going to put all this $1,000 of extra money on my mortgage. So I got an extra $2,000. Whoop, whoop. And look what happens with this concept. I'm able to shift my whole trajectory. Instead of being a slave to this debt and it taking me 23 years to pay all this stuff off, with debt stacking, it only takes me 9 years. Less than 10 years, guys. And you're free and clear. And you got money in the bank. And your future is set. And you don't have to worry. And if your car breaks down, guess what? I'm in peace because I live in an abundant state because I have it sitting in the bank. Okay? The interest that I avoided was $130,000 that I would have ended up paying these people. That's how they're getting over with that 18% interest rate. Nope, it's mine. I got it. Thank you. Thank you. And the interest I would have paid without debt stacking is $200,000. I cut that in half. I couldn't avoid it completely, but at least I cut it in half. And my monthly payments, what changed? What changed, guys? Nothing.
I mean, you're paying the same amount, but you're getting way more bang for your buck. And I love that.
Mm-hmm. So definitely taking this concept and restructuring the way that you work with what you already have. It's everything. So how do we avoid these common mistakes? It comes from number one, not valuing your credit. Raising your credit card limits. Don't do that. Not monitoring your credit history. Do not be the ostrich with your head in the sand. That doesn't cut it. Monitor your credit score. Know what these people are saying about you. And of course, know your interest rates and the fees associated with whatever it is that you are doing. And that way you can understand what you're risking and how much you've added to your losses or gains. All right. The other thing is, insurances. You got to buy the right kind of life insurance too. In our community, African American community specifically, and I can't even say that. I'll say the working class community. We are targeted for certain types of products. It's so funny. I don't watch TV much, but I have a friend that I've been talking to, and they live in one part of Detroit, and I live in another part. And I saw this back when I lived in the suburbs too, raising my kids. We could be watching the same program. I was watching VH1 because I was watching the Bobby Brown story. Lord have mercy. Anyway, I was watching it. And during the commercials, they were completely different. Completely different. I'm seeing car commercials, BMW, Kia, Black women entrepreneurs, all of this stuff because they know the demographics that's watching. And my friend is seeing life insurance commercials and, only pay this and get your money back. And if you've been injured, do this. I mean, just the types of commercials were different. So we have to understand that we're targeted based on what they think we are or what they think you are, not necessarily what you are or who you can be or who you're trying to be as you evolve as the person that you came here to be. So it's important that you buy the right kind of life insurance. Why are we talking about life insurance with finances? Is because before you build a house, you need a foundation. And so before you start saving all of this money, what happens if tomorrow your spouse dies? That investment account that's got your $100 is not going to help you. Having a life insurance policy will not only help you, but can help you for at least 10 years be able to still be stable as you grow, as your money grows, as you get used to life without your partner. If you have children and something happens to you and they're dependent upon you, even slightly, they could be adults, you are able to leave a legacy for them. So maybe they can start a business or they can do what they need to do without the worry, still living in the energy of abundance and not in the energy of lack. So what is this about the right type of life insurance? Well, there's different types out there. And like I said, we're usually targeted. So the importance of life insurance is first is how much is your car worth? I think Adrienne said she has an old beater, probably worth a few $100, a couple thousand, maybe even. Do we insure it? We definitely do. Why? Because they tell us to. Really, that's the only reason? No, the reason is if something happens to it, I need to be able to either replace it or at least have enough money so that I can put it as a down payment for another car because a car is something we need. So we have insurance on it to protect it because we need it. What about our house? Our house is everything. We insure it because if it burns down, we don't have any place to live. And that insurance would rebuild it for us. What about your life? What's that worth? Do we insure it? We have to. Again, I just gave you the scenario of the husband or the spouse. And again, most of you guys are women, and women live longer than men. So if you are married, it's a good chance that you will be a widow. And again, you want that cushion, that foundation to be there. So we teach the theory of decreasing responsibility because life insurance, in our honest opinion, should be a cushion for you when you don't have savings, right? Because it's there to help you if your income, if someone pulls the rug out from under you and you don't have any income anymore. So when you're younger, raising kids, typically you don't have any money. Typically you're living check to check. And it's, we just go with the flow and figure it out along the way for most of us. And I'm laughing because my daughter is now a young mother and some of her things that she goes through. And it's like, I remember. But then when we're older, we typically do have money. In our later years at retirement, we got that 500,000 in the bank. Do you need insurance? Not like you used to. So we definitely, for those who are in the middle range, and again, my group, 35 to 65, we are kind of in this middle where that crossover happens. So we look at what type of insurance you need, a lot of coverage or a little bit based on what your savings are. If you have no savings, then you're still there needing most of that income, because if you had a loss of income, it'd be devastating, versus in retirement ages. This is what some of the experts say about term insurance versus whole life insurance. And term insurance is pure protection, just like life insurance. I'm sorry, fire insurance or auto insurance. It only has one purpose, and that's to support your family if you're no longer here. You buy large amounts of coverage for modest amounts of money, and big policies are what your spouse and your children need. And that was by Making the Most of Your Money, writer Jane Bryant Quinn. Susie Orman, if you know about her, she's another great person. Go to YouTube, watch Susie Orman. In addition to Dave Ramsey, they'll give you these same concepts about term insurance versus whole life. Susie Orman says, in my opinion, there's only one kind of life insurance that makes sense for the vast majority of us, and that's term life insurance. Money.com says financial experts recommend term life insurance for the average family. And why am I telling you all this? It's because term life covers you for a defined period of time. And if you're working with an advisor like myself or someone else, our whole goal is to build you wealth. And for a certain amount of time, you're going to pay a small premium to get a lot of money. Someone who's 35 years old can pay about $35 a month and have $500,000 worth of coverage. So if they passed away, their family is set. However, with whole life, that same $35 get them a $10,000 policy. And what I was talking about, those of us that are working class, we get sold these whole life policies that don't give us anything, but we're paying a lot. And we only get a little bit. We're taught to cover the death instead of leave a legacy. And that's the difference. Life insurance isn't death insurance. Life insurance is your inheritance for your children and the people that you leave behind. And that's the difference. So, what's it look like? Okay, average premium, let's say per $1,000 worth of protection. Primerica term insurance, you're paying $3. That's why I told you guys about $35 get you, depends on your age, but $3 per 1,000 with Primerica term insurance. The industry standard for term insurance is $10 per 1,000. So just coming out the door, 70% less than most companies. Average amount of protection compared to other companies, on average, about $200,000 is what we typically offer for that $3.67 per. And industry is about 160, or usually their policies are about 150 for the same amount. That same $10 per. So you're paying more and getting less is what this slide is showing you. That makes sense. So we got 3 nevers that we actually share with our clients. And the first one is never buy any type of cash value or universal life with anyone that claims that you have cash back or that you can borrow from your insurance policy. That is a red flag there. The second thing is life insurance is not an investment. There are companies out here, because the life insurance industry and the type of products that they come up with is not regulated. You can buy, you guys that are interested in this industry and wanting to really understand life insurance can buy a book called Understanding Life Insurance. And it talks about how there have been individuals that have come up against the life insurance, even agents that have taken a stance at the Supreme Court level about some of the ways that the insurance company runs, and they've been shut down. The government and insurance companies are they kind of buddies, you know. So yeah, the industry is not regulated.
If you want some breakfast, you want some breakfast?
And the cash value type of insurance has lots of names and wears lots of hats and lots of masks. So it's important that you don't buy a policy as an investment, and you don't buy a policy that says that it pays dividends, because what happens is these insurance companies, there is an investment portion, and let me see, does the next slide talk about it? No, there is an investment portion to that policy. But when you pass away, you have one thing that you get: a life insurance policy or the investment. The life insurance policy or the cash value, the life insurance policy or those dividends that you've earned. You can't get both. Your family has to choose. So what's the point of investing into something that's not going to give you anything back? It's just sitting with the company because everybody's going to choose the life insurance portion. So, all right, enough about that industry crap, because the money industry is dirty. I'll be the first to tell you. That's why I'm here, to help you guys weed through the mud. We're gonna lock arms and wade through the mud together. Let's talk about deferring taxes. I do have a couple of tax professionals that I work with. If you are looking for someone to work with, then great, just let me know. But if you have a job, if you go to work every day, then you have a tax problem. The harder you work to get ahead to build your income, the more taxes you pay. This is hilarious because me and my daughter just had this conversation. She was a CNA, if you know what that is, certified nurse assistant, and she went back to school and got her nursing degree. And so she's making much more money. And she says, Ma, they're taking $500 out of each check. What the heck? I said, baby, you're in a new tax bracket now. So instead of getting ahead, they take more. And that is the game. So in order to have more cash at retirement, we need to find ways to minimize the taxes that they take. And so that's the beauty and the power of tax deferred savings. And you can look here at when you're saving into a investment that does not have taxes deferred, how little you're saving versus your rate of return on income that has not been taxed yet. So in 10 years, we're just going to look at the difference between no taxes deferred, 64,000, versus taxes deferred, 96,000. Let's come all the way over here to 40 years. No taxes deferred, you got 900,000, versus taxes deferred, you got 2.3 million. So it definitely makes a difference because of Uncle Sam with his hand out wanting your money. And like I said, if you are working with me, we also look at multiple streams of income, and another, it's not even a loophole, it's just another way to get around all of the tax issues, is to be a business owner, because businesses are definitely taxed differently than employees. And you can see that with the way our country is run even. So deductibility versus, I'm sorry, guys. Deductibility versus deferrability. So the difference here, well, I'll just read from the screen. The deduction is the amount of money that you can subtract from your gross income before you calculate your taxes. The more you reduce your gross income with deductions, the less money you're taxed on. So it pays to deduct. Always contact your tax advisor. And like I said, I have a couple on my team, so I would be happy to send you to. Versus a deferral. And to defer something just means to postpone it until later. And so the difference is when you have that deferred tax, you are able to put more money away and it's not taxed until you pull it out. But it's grown so much that the taxes, are less on the back end than it is on the front end. So that's basically the concept here of deferred taxes. What about IRAs? How many of you have your own independent retirement accounts? Or are you still having your money sit at your employer getting less than 3% rate of return? You don't have to invest into your employer's 401k or 403b. You can always have your own independent retirement account. But what's the best one? Because there are a bunch of them. And again, most women, not even the culture doesn't really even matter, but just most women in general, most people in general don't know the difference. A traditional IRA is deductible. So we just talked about the difference between deductibility and deferrability. And a traditional IRA is not deductible. And a Roth IRA is not deductible, but also tax deferred. That's the one you want. The benefit is the amount of savings that you can potentially tap into by deferring it until retirement. The government only allows you to put so much away every year, and that's okay. Because if you have a 401k or a 403b, you can roll that money over into an IRA. It won't be a Roth, but it can be a traditional IRA, and that's what we're talking about. And it could be tax deferred until you're retired. A Roth, again, is not deductible, but you can receive those tax deferrals on your tax-free withdrawals later. The difference with a Roth compared to the other traditional IRAs is that you actually use your already taxed money. So I'm not putting money directly from my employer before the government gets a hold of it and putting it away. I'm putting money away after it's taxed. So you've already got your cut, Uncle Sam. Now I'm about to save this money. Okay. However, when you withdraw this money, none of it will be taxed. Like some of the other ones, when you get to retirement age, that's when it's taxed and then they take their money, but not the Roth. Here we go. We can compare them. Let's say we put $6,000 in. A traditional is deductible. A Roth is not. The earnings are tax deferred on both. Retirement withdrawals after age 59 are taxable for a traditional, and again, they're tax-free for a Roth because you've already paid taxes on it. And yes, you need to hold your Roth IRA for at least 5 years, or they will, instead of it just being tax-free, it'll be full of penalty charges and they will still get that money. So we leave it alone. These are investment accounts. You don't even bother them. This is after the savings account. This is after the emergency fund. This is my money that just goes away and it's going to make me wealthy in the end. So I don't think about it. And the distributions here, with the traditional IRA is required at 70, and there's no age requirement with Roth. All right, so I'm looking in the chat here, just because there are a couple of things. All right, take care, Miss Adrienne. And mindset is the I can take a loan out. Yeah. Okay. Enough about the chat. This is time value of money. So again, I talked to you guys about time basis. And if you start with your IRA when you're 22 and you never contribute, again, you only contribute for 8 years from 22 to 29. Okay. But if you continue to contribute and then you start contributing again at 30. Let's say it just sat there and you didn't do anything until 30. This just shows you the difference of the amount that you can expect. So consistency is everything. But if you don't contribute anything outside of that 48,000 that you did the first 8 years, you have 2.2 million because it's just sitting there. But if you wait till you're 30 to start, you have about the same, 2 million, a little less. Just goes to show you how that age and time has everything to do with your contributions. Starting young, not putting anything else in versus starting late and contributing every year. Either is fine because you end up with 2 million no matter what. Become an owner, not a loaner. All right, so looking at your money and bypassing the middleman and going right into the global economy. So it's just the banks. Right now, like I said, if you're saving your money in a bank, you're not getting very much interest, but you best believe they are. Because if you are putting your money in Chase or Capital One or any of these banks that you have your credit card with, that's your money that's sitting in that bank. And then they're using it or giving it back to you and then charging you 18% on top of it. But if your credit's bad, they're charging you 25, 26, 28%. We talked about compounding interest. Look at how much money that is they're getting from you. That's why when you pay that $39 every month, the balance doesn't go anywhere. So we take you outside of that middleman range. Take your money. You don't necessarily have to take it and put it in the bank. You can take it right into the global economy by investing in it. And here we are with more information about, are you earning? What are you earning at a guaranteed loss? We're not even going to talk about loss. We're just going to talk about switching here from putting 10,000 and a 1% rate of return at our local bank. We know 1% is not going to get us anywhere. I've gone over those concepts with you, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on there. I am going to talk about this three-legged stool theory, though. Financial experts use this analogy to demonstrate the primary resources that provide retirement income. So gone are the days that we can get a pension. However, you can fund your own retirement. You can look at how much Social Security is going to give you. We look at personal savings. We look at company pensions and see what our three legs are made up of. What is it that we have to work with? And again, the rate of return is always going to be the key. What kind of rate of return will you need to reach your goal? And as I said before, we'll look at exactly what it is that you're trying to do, and we'll put your money in the type of investment that you need, whether it be a traditional investment account with stocks and bonds, with stocks, or if it's an account that has more bonds in it. And bonds are, you're investing, let me back up, because many people don't know what a stock is. Stock is, if you and I were going to start a company and we had $0, we could offer shares of ownership to our friends who could then pay us for those shares. And then we could raise enough money to get our business started. So when you buy stock in a company, you are part owner of that company. So that's what most investments are. That's what most people think of when they think of investing. They think of stocks. A bond is when a municipality has something that needs to be done. We know because if you are a taxpayer here in the city, they have bonds for street clearance. They have bonds for the lighting department. They have bonds for the water department. Whatever they need to do and they need money to do it, they ask us for that money. And then they give us interest on our money. And then there's a such thing called T-bills, and then there's everyday inflation. I'm not going to go into too much of that. It just gives you an idea of where you can put your money. And bonds are super, super stable. You know you're going to get your money back from the city if you invest in it. Traditionally, just in the market, your rate of return may fluctuate. But it's the best way to get money. And it just depends on what it is that you're doing. Why invest with a professional management? I like this because I like mutual funds. Mutual funds are pools of companies that you can own part shares. So if I had invested in, let's see, if I had invested in Art Van, and I had bought stock with that company and then it went bankrupt, what happens to my money? It's gone. And that's the risk I take. But if I was taking that same money and invested in Art Van, invested in Apple, invested in Beaumont, invested in a few other companies, and Art Van went south, I would not lose my money because my money can go in lots of different directions. I have a question from Jeanette. She says, can you roll over a Roth IRA into another Roth IRA without being penalized? If you have two of the same thing, no, it would not. You are not penalized. You are not required to stay with one company. If you see that another company has a better rate of return, yes, you can roll your money over. Are there fees associated with it? Yes. So you will have to come out of some of that money, and it all comes out of the rollover, so it wouldn't be out of pocket. But you should get it back very quickly because you're putting into a more stable or a higher rate of return account. Hopefully that answered your question. But that's why you invest with professional management. That's why you need someone who knows what's going on, because sometimes we are put into different programs and different portfolios that maybe aren't the best for us. But there is no doubt with anyone, there's going to be risk. But having professional management means that there's somebody watching your account. Nobody's watching your 401k at work. But to have professional management means somebody's watching so that you get the best rate of return. Okay. So what's a mutual fund? I told you guys what stocks were. Mutual fund, and I kind of went over it a little bit. It's a pool. It's a pool of companies. So your assets are pooled into the global economy. So as things go up and down, you're not affected. Your growth just keeps going up. Here's investor A and investor B. And investor A is in a mutual fund. Investor B is riding the market with stocks. So here you can see they're hit when something crashes. But if you have mutual funds where your money's pooled, that crash doesn't hurt you. And I have to say this is a little misleading because this person, if the market crashed, would still feel a little dip. So this should come down here just a little bit. And then in 5 years, it'll go right back up. So I want to be realistic. This picture could be changed. I didn't make it, so. What do you think? Who do you think earns more money, investor A or investor B? When they pay $10 per share, they got $100 a month they invest versus someone who, one person invests into a mutual fund versus someone who does not. Investor A, after 6 months, has 42 shares. Investor B, after 6 months, has 125. So looking at this, Investor A began purchasing his shares when the market was going up. And right after Investor B started purchasing his shares, the market fell off. Okay. But then they recovered. So if you picked Investor A, that's the wrong one. Investor B is the one that's able to take advantage of the market in the downturn because he uses $100 every month and purchased shares in a mutual fund. So there are 3 Ds to investing. A good way to keep your focus on your goal is to remember these 3 Ds: dollar cost averaging, discipline, and consistency. So a C goes in there too, but discipline and then diversification. You definitely can do that. Let me go over what these things are though. Dollar cost averaging means investing a certain amount of fixed money every month, regardless as to what's going on in the stock market. And then you're able to take advantage of the highs and the lows by purchasing fewer units, fewer shares in the lows, and fewer shares in the highs and more when the when the prices are low. And that way you kind of avoid a loss. And then having discipline, as you know, you just got to contribute every month. And then diversification means that you're putting your money in different pots. You're pooling that money. And that's the way you win the financial war as far as the market is concerned. That's how you ride the waves of the market going up and down. You can put together a simple plan and follow it and, really see your rate of return really grow. And it's really nice to see that. So there are securities that are offered by Primerica. We are affiliated with all of the large stock companies. So we do have that available for you. Now is time for Q&A. Do we have any questions out there about anything that you have heard me talk about thus far? Let me even see if there's anybody out here in live land. Any questions, guys? The chat room is open. Any further questions? No? If there are no other questions, I just want to thank you guys for joining. And just know that all of this information is very practical and it was a lot of information. I'm very happy to share it with you guys. Again, on my team, we have lots of individuals who are available to support you with taxes, with mortgage debt consolidation. And of course, I am able to sit you down and do what's called a financial needs analysis, which is that roadmap. So all the stuff that I talked about today, we put all of that for you down on paper or into the computer system. And we look at how to debt stack for you, how to get rid of your debt through debt stacking or debt snowballing. Where do you need to invest? What is it? What are your goals? What is it that you want to do with your money? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? And how can I help you get there? You want to live your best life and you want to save for the future. Let's do it because you can do it right now with the money that you already make. And I showed you guys multiple ways of doing that. So thank you for allowing me to bring this information to you. If you are interested in a free consultation, because we can sit down and talk about what you'd like to do for free, please do not hesitate to reach out. My scheduling link is a bit.ly link. So bit.ly/SCHWP and the number 11, all lowercase. Schedule with the wellness partner, SCHWP WP11. And that's a bit.ly link that will take you right to my schedule and put you right on my calendar. And we can have a one-on-one Zoom call just like this and discuss your finances and go through your financial needs analysis, everything COVID safe and friendly because it's all virtual. And if you need resources, I can also connect you to the right people. And that's really it for today, guys. It is 12:30. I am so happy to be able to bring this to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. I just want to send you guys love, prosperity, and peace along your journey. And if I can help you in any way, I am here. Thank you so much for joining. Enjoy your weekend and may